you have a chapter that's devoted to how he argues. You've kind of touched upon his style. There's humor. He's a very good writer. I've seen interviews with him on TV, and so he's got a biting edge, right, to his sarcastic wit. But how would you describe his method of argumentation if you were to generalize that?
Yeah. Well, I would, there's not, there are people who are logicians or, people who do particular styles of debate or things like that. I don't think that he would say, well, I adhere to this particular, formal style of debate or argumentation. So it's mostly just kind of, I guess if I had to summarize it, it would be, well, here's the thesis and here's some evidence for it. But it was frustrating reading his book, honestly, in a lot of respects. And my wife can tell you, when I was doing a lot of the research for this book and reading a lot of Dawkins' stuff, she could tell you how frustrated I got, because there would be things where he'd say something and I go, well, that's already been dealt with in theological circles. Like there are answers to that. Why aren't you addressing that? Or why aren't you acknowledging that there are other things out there? And again, one of the things I talk a little bit in the book about this is that when you pick up a book and you read it, and you're someone like an expert, like Dawkins is, he's a really smart guy, and you're an expert, and you are kind of parlaying that expertise, and you're asking the reader to kind of trust you to a certain extent as an expert in this field. I think you have to hold that trust very carefully. And that means doing your due diligence in terms of how you portray your argument, but also the argument of the other side. And there are a lot of times when Dawkins would portray things and characterize these as being beliefs of Christianity or something like that. And I go, no, I don't know people who believe that. So that's the straw man argument, is the technical term for that, where you set up a belief and then you systematically tear it down. But it doesn't really do you any good if the belief that you have construed to your opponent is not actually what they believe.
Yeah.
And I found that happening quite frequently